authority of Christ. As God is continually working in our lives, he'll be constantly putting things in our spirit, bringing us to places where he needs us to go. And I encourage you that when the Lord does that, surrender to it and allow the Lord to use you to be a blessing to others. A lot of times, the things that we are dealing with, other people may be struggling in the same area. Sometimes you may be struggling with something that when the Lord leads you to share it, you may say what people are trying to figure out what to say, how to say it. So I encourage you to have that freedom to do the same. You know, what I value more than anything in life is pleasing God. You know, from childhood, as I shared with you, growing up, didn't know a lot about God. Our family didn't worship or serve God, not to my knowledge. But God has a part of him in all of us. There was always a desire to do right, to help people. My family was about doing right, helping people, being a blessing, treating everybody the same. Our house was one of the houses in the neighborhood that all the kids in the neighborhood wanted to flock to. Because Dad would treat everybody like his own child. Even though he was poor, didn't have a lot, but he shared that with everybody. His energy, his strength, all that he had, he would do to help others. And that was just instilled in us. It's part of our DNA because we all have the character of God. That is locked up in prison when we come into this world. Present but dormant because of being sold into slavery by Adam. Always there, but powerless to bring forth its desires. And to please God, he gave us 2 commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And Scripture goes on to tell us that love does no harm to his neighbor. That's the life that we have chosen to live when we accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior. But because we have such a fallen background, distorted on what is right and what is wrong, a lot of change has to take place. And as Jesus was here teaching, setting up the foundation for this culture to be able to be established, he was teaching along the way principles that are very important for us to understand because of the things we have to be delivered from, the things that we have been taught a lot of times that don't really line up with the Word of God. And our scripture text today is going to be Mark 12, 30 and 31, and Ephesians 5, 25 through 29. But what I want to read to you before we get started is Mark chapter 12, verses 13 through 29. Sorry, 32. We'll say 33. And it reads, it's when the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the scribes were trying to disqualify Jesus Christ for who he said he was, seeking to undermine his work. You will constantly find people trying to undermine what you believe in, disqualify you as not being who you profess to be because of some beliefs that they have. It says, then they sent some of the Pharisees and Herodians to him in order to trap him in a statement. They came and said to him, "Teacher, we know that you are truthful and defer to no one, for you are not partial to any, but teach the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to pay a poll tax to Caesar or not? Shall we pay or shall we not pay?" But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said to them, "Why are you testing me? Bring me a denarius to look at it." They brought one, and he said to them, whose likeness and inscription is this? And they said to him, Caesar's. And Jesus said to them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God. And they were amazed at him. Some Sadducees, who say that there is no resurrection, came to Jesus and began questioning him, saying, Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves behind a wife and leaves no child, his brother should marry the wife and raise up children to his brother. There were 7 brothers, and the first took a wife and died, leaving no children. The second one married her and died, leaving behind no children, and the third likewise. And so all 7 left no children. Last of all, the woman died also. In the resurrection, when they rise again, which one's wife will she be? For all 7 had married her. Jesus said to them, Is this not the reason you are mistaken, that you do not understand the scriptures or the power of God? For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. But regarding the fact that the dead rise again, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the passage about the burning bush, how God spoke to him, saying, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are greatly mistaken. One of the scribes came and heard them arguing, and recognizing that he had answered them well, asked him, What commandment is the foremost of all? Jesus answered, The foremost is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. The scribe said to him, Right, teacher, you have truly stated that. He is one, and there is no one else besides him. And to love him with all the heart and with all the understanding and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as himself is much more than a burnt offer, than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. When Jesus saw that he had answered intelligently, he said to him, You are not far from the knowing of God. After that, no one would venture to ask him any more questions. And Jesus began to say, as he taught in the temple, How is it that the scribes say that the Christ is the son of David? David himself said in the Holy Spirit, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies beneath your feet. David himself calls him Lord. So in what sense is he his son? And the large crowd enjoyed listening to him. In his teaching, he was saying, Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and like respectful greetings in the marketplaces, and chief seats in the synagogues and places of honor at banquets, who devour widows' houses and for appearance's sake offer long prayers. These will receive greater condemnation. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. People are going to constantly be trying to trap you in what you say you believe. In your fallenness, you might be trying to catch each other in that same kind of entrapment. You may hear a brother or sister say something, and you're waiting for them to say something that don't line up with what they say they believe. And you are quick to come back like, whoa, that don't sound like a child of God. It sounds like you don't really believe they're one, or you believe that they're not where they say they are. And usually it's behind how they may be dealing with you. See, as you see, that's not the Spirit of God. See, what we do is we observe, and we find out where there's a problem. Just like you do your house, right? Every now and then you walk through, you see like, wow, that needs taken care of. You don't necessarily take care of it that moment, right? But you log it. And you know that when the opportune time comes, you're going to get on it. Now, there may be someone that thinks you need to get on it sooner than you do, but You are aware that it needs to be taken care of. And you wait for that opportune time to deal with it to get the best effect. You ever took on a project that you thought you were going to get completed, and as it unfolded, you found out it cost more than you thought it was going to cost, and you had to stop in the middle of that project, but you got everything in array because of the funds that it takes, or the time that it takes, or whatever it takes that you didn't put in the original plan. See, God doesn't work like that. He moves and he moves through to accomplish, because nothing is impossible for God. And he never does anything unless he provides all the stuff that is needed for it to happen and to come to its complete end. But we at times move ahead of God because of a lot of times taking scriptures out of perspective. Being a good steward. We throw that one out there a lot when we're trying to protect something we love. But is it really lining up with the understanding of God? That's why we want to talk about self-love. Self-love. We say we love God. We say we love people, but do you really love people, or do you expect people to get that project finished when you think it should be finished? Self-love. What do you believe self-love is? According to scriptures, you cannot love God until you learn how to love your neighbor, and you cannot love your neighbor until you learn how to love yourself. 1 John 4:20. Look at that. He says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. That means you have a blueprint on how to love your neighbor. And all you have to do is look at your own life. When you look at your life and how you treat yourself, are you really loving yourself? Because you're going to treat people just how you treat yourself. And my parents raised me, my dad, and raised us. Listen, I know it's time to quit, but see, we ain't got but a few more rows left. We got a couple of more slides left. Let's knock those slides out, and then when we come back tomorrow, we won't have to do that. That was ingrained in me. Go and get it over with so you don't have to take it into tomorrow. And that's the way I worked growing up. Then OSHA came in. Was every 3 hours you got to take a 15-minute break? I don't know, you come at 8, I know 9 o'clock you're supposed to take every 2 hours. Wow, every 2. Every 2 hours you got to take a 15-minute break. Man, that was blasphemy when we were growing up. You know how many? 4 times, that's what? 4 times 15? That's a whole hour we done throw it away eating. So, I mean, it's just who I am. So I had employees working, going on carpet cleaning jobs, whatever we were doing. I mean, I go there to finish the job. I eat after I finish. Even if the job is a 4, 5, 6 hour job, that's what I do. If I run to the truck, I grab a bite to eat, or while I'm changing something over, I eat a snack or something that I can eat in between that change. But take a 30-minute or hour lunch break? Are you out your mind? So I'm working. We got this huge house, upstairs, downstairs. Got a guy working with me. We started working about 9 o'clock. We just roll. I'm training him. He's cleaning and doing, and I'm walking with him, showing him how to do it. And then we go on, and after a while, he started looking kind of funny. About 9:30, 10 o'clock. He said, do you mind if I take a break? Oh, man. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, go ahead and take your 15-minute break. I mean, you get a lot. This is breaking rules. This guy got to get a break. I'm trained to work till we finish. He trained that. He loved himself. I know I should get a break in here somewhere to kind of replenish, get a little pit stop. This guy rolling like he ain't thinking about stopping no time soon. So serious, I'm kind of skeptical about asking, can I take a break? Because I want to please him. I like this job. It's pretty good. I like this. But man, if I asked him to take a break the way he rolled, he might look at me and think, this guy ain't serious. He ain't got what it takes. He's more concerned about taking breaks than he is about working, getting this money so we can get ready for the next job. He was loving himself. I was hating myself. But I was serving God. God said, Curtis. Now, OSHA would ask, why are you driving your employees like this? They should get breaks because, they stay fresh, I guess. They're less prone to make mistakes, less prone to get hurt. They can stay hydrated, whatever they need to do. And plus, they keep regenerating their strength. They can do better work. This is unacceptable, sir. They may fine you or whatever they do to teach you how to treat your employees right. Shut you down. Lord, have mercy. See, I didn't know how to love myself. I was expendable, but I thought I'd live forever. Any of you like that? You're expendable, but you think no matter how you treat yourself, you're going to keep on running strong because you feel good today. That's not loving yourself. And guess what? You're going to treat everybody just like you roll. Look, y'all need to make some sacrifices up in here. You ain't got to, I know they're supposed to get 50, but you ain't got to be taking no 15 minutes. What were we doing before they passed them 16 minutes, them 15 minutes? We rolled all day outside in the hot sun. We got an hour break for lunch. And you better stock up because you're going to roll until we get it done. We were expendable, and the bosses knew that, but they didn't care. They wanted you to believe that this is how you show that you are a good worker, you are valuable when you roll and give us what we're looking for. And they have no time for people that need a break every 2 hours. It's almost finished. It's quitting time. But look, one more hour. One more hour, and it's done. They say, it's quitting time. I'm walking out. Unless you're in North Carolina. That's not love. You're loving the money, and Matthew chapter 6 says, you are now serving money. Because what you're doing is for the get the money has nothing to do with your health and well-being. So you're going to expect everyone else to work the same. You know it takes 4 people to do your job. But if you ever do it with 1 or 2, that becomes the way. Because you've proven it that it could be done. But it's that loving yourself. You're putting more stress and strain on yourself. You cannot love God if you don't love your neighbor. Because how can you love God who you ain't seen, and you don't love your neighbor that you see every day? And you can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. Now look at yourself, look at your standards, and look how you run your people to live up to that standard. Come on, let's be real. What are they required to do? Suck it up. Suck it up. Who was that telling? One of the kids somewhere yesterday was telling me, I was sucking it up. I was like, okay, I heard that somewhere before. Suck it up. Get it done. Like, wow. Suck it up. And what do you mean you telling somebody to suck it up? They have come to their limit. They said, look, I need to break or I need to stop. You're saying, suck it up because you were taught. Suck it up, hate yourself, roll yourself, knock yourself out. As long as we get it done, I'm going to be so happy with you. Little Jimmy laying on the floor, knocked out and passed out from his work. You come up like, man, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the effort you put in, man. You a team player. Here's a plaque. Go hang that on your wall. Because I love you. Right? Poor child bring home a B or C. You know they're between a D and a C child. But you telling them to suck it up. You can do better. You're just training. You got to train yourself to get an A. So that's what we were taught. They can't be happy with who they are. They're unhappy with who they are because they know to get what you're asking for, ain't no pleasure going to be in this journey. I worked hard just to get the D. And now you want an A. I'm going to spend all my time trying to survive and accomplish an A. I'm not going to enjoy this environment that I'm in. I'm going to dread going in every day. Going to work is going to make me sick. It's going to make me feel bad about myself because I didn't do it like you want me to do it. That's not loving yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Jesus says, there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friend. John 15:13. So what does it mean to love yourself? Jesus said, it's no greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. I want to ask you this question. Are you your friend? Or are you your slave? Are you your friend or are you your slave? Are you your friend? When you look at how you treat yourself and how you carry yourself, would you call yourself being friendly to yourself? Or are you a slave driver with only one thing in mind, the outcome? See, these are questions that we've never been made to ask ourselves. Am I my friend? If I saw someone treating someone like I treat myself, what would I say about them? You miss any meals today? You eat a good breakfast this morning? Did you eat a good breakfast? Did you eat a good, healthy breakfast this morning? Did you get up in time enough to have plenty of time to get everything ready so everybody could kind of ease through their preparation this morning with no rushing and confusion and lost things, being uptight? Did you put yourself and your people in a good state so they could have a good state of mind when they got here this morning? Did you really show love for yourself this morning? Or were you slave driving? You were on a mission. Did you get enough sleep last night? Did you go to bed early enough last night so you could have a total body rest? Were you able to sleep last night? And if you weren't, God says there's one that steals sleep. Why? Are you really allowing God to carry your burdens? Or are you trying to be a beast of burden? That's what love does. It takes care of itself. It puts itself in the best condition to be successful, to be all that they've been created to be. No greater love than anyone has than to lay down their life for a friend. Are you really treating yourself as your friend? Are you really treating yourself as your friend? Or are you putting yourself in positions that's going to cause you not to put your body in a position to operate at its fullest potential as God created it to be? We're talking about self-love. Jesus said to his disciples, the days will come when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. And they will say to you, look here, or look here. Do not leave, and do not run after them. For just like the lightning, when it flashes out of one part of the sky, shines to the other part of the sky, so will the Son of Man be in his day. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. And just as it happened in the days of Noah, so will it also be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, and they were being given in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same as happened in the days of Lot. They were eating, they were drinking, they were buying, they were selling, they were planting, and they were building. But on the day that Lot left Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be just the same on the day that the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, the one who will be on the housetop with his goods in the house must not go down to take them out. And likewise, the one in the field must not turn back. Remember Lot's wife. Whoever strives to save his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life will keep it. I tell you, on that night there will be two in one bed. One will be taken, the other will be left. There will be two women grinding at the same place. One will be taken, and the other will be left. Two men will be in the field. One will be taken, and the other will be left. And responding, they said to him, "Where, Lord?" And he said to them, "Where the body is, there also the vultures will be gathered." That's Luke 17:22 through 37. In other words, when we're talking about self-love, he says, in other words, people will be going on with life as usual before Christ's return. To love yourself requires you to give up life as you know it. Matthew 6:24 through 34. Self-love happens when you meet Jesus Christ. You are positioned to now start loving yourself. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Jesus hung high and he died and he hung his head because he loved us. To position us to build a new life. When you meet Jesus Christ, are you willing to change life as you know it, to give up life as you know it, grinding to go get it, struggling to save every dime you can find, working and moving about for the pleasures of this life? They were eating, drinking, marrying, being given in marriage. That's everyday life. That's what humanity is focused on. But he says, are you willing to give up that life to build the right life? The focus, the love. Are you willing to love yourself enough to build a new way of living, to have a new focus, to build a better way, a way that shows that you love yourself? Are you willing to build a life that truly shows that you love yourself? Or are you seeking to build a life so other people can love you? What is it? Are you willing to build a life that shows that you love yourself? That's what this is all about. And he's promised that if you love me, everything that you ever desired will be provided for you. The question is, who could believe such a thing? Those that don't know no other way. It's easy for those that don't know any other way to build that life that shows that they love themselves than it is for those who have built a life that shows that they hate themselves. Because as we've shared earlier, when you deal with the false for so long, when the truth come along, it can seem like a lie. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Does it really take putting in 10, 12, 16 hours a day to survive, to live the life that God has called you to live? Does it really take that? Are you showing love for yourself when you do that? How often do we do it? And we say it's okay because the system says that's what's required. That's why God says, I have a new system I want to implement. And if you could be committed to it, we can start the process of developing a generation that only knows this way. When are you going to stop giving gifts to your kids when they come into this world? You have a perfect chance. You have a child that don't know nothing about gifts. Nothing. Don't know nothing about any of that stuff that you see your children struggling with. When will we say, you know what, moving forward, family, this is what we do. We're going to train this one to be trained in this new life where they're going to love themselves. They're going to learn how to give, not expect. We're going to train them on eating the right food that's going to put their body in a position to never be sick. They don't know. And of course, you know, don't you think it's kind of amazing, a new child coming to the world, and you start feeding them certain food, and they go, ugh. That's the work. That's the work. How hungry does it take for you to get to eat that? Oh, but they're so cute and innocent. That's an ageless spirit. Don't allow that vehicle they're in to make you think it ain't. It is now controlling what's going to come in and what's not. It must taste a certain way. What do you know about taste? What do you know about good and bad? That's the spirit that controls the human nature, that trains it from the moment it gets in. I mean, obviously before it gets here. How does a child in the womb, when you look at the ultrasound, they lay back like this in the womb? How does that happen? They didn't plan it. You're in the womb, and you were led. Suck that thumb. What benefit does that bring to the life? Does it bring great benefit? You see, the enemy's ahead of you. You wait till they get out, start talking, so they can think. You behind the 8 ball already. Maybe if you have another one like that, if you see them sucking their thumb, you start telling them, hey, take that thumb out your mouth. Take that. We will not be sucking thumbs out here. Why not? Try. You won't know till you try, right? Somebody told them to suck it. They were guided to suck it. If God created me in the womb, he done did a lot of work in the womb. Shouldn't we be working while the womb is while it's in the womb? Probably need to be, well, we definitely need to start working before it happens in the womb. You understand? I'm talking about a concept. A concept of building a life that's going to put you in a position where your first focus is loving yourself. Because you've already proven you're going to expect from other people what you expect from yourself. Isn't that right? If you're willing to spend less money to get to your goal, don't you want everybody in your world to do the same thing, to be considered validated or qualified to be a part of your financial state? Don't you? If you are a spendthrift, don't you believe that everybody in your world should be free to spend without having all these rules and regulations? You can't spend this and you can't spend that. Do what you want. Ain't that what you expect? Why are you so holding on to money so tight? You can't do nothing but spend it. It's dirty paper. It's only use. Even if you save it, it ain't going to do you no good until you spend it. And if you save it too long, you're going to leave it here for the spendthrift. How you going to feel looking back door today? Look at them. I knew they going to look at us. Look what they doing. You're going to treat people like you treat yourself, and you're going to expect the same thing or greater, because you believe if I had done this better, sooner, my life would be better. So you teach your people, look, let's do this sooner. Let's do it more consistently. And you will get there a lot quicker than I did. That's not love. That's slaving for money. Slaving for money. The best way to love someone is to put them in a position when they leave home, finances is not an issue. You've taught them to discover what their field is, because God said, get your field, then build your home. You've taught them how to discover their talent or gift that's going to help them create wealth. Once you get that, he says, now get your home. Wouldn't it have been nice, you believe, if you could have started off with, you could have got your home when you first left home? You would have had a nice little nest egg that you don't even have to touch, but keeps you in a position to give and help others. And you got more than enough coming in to take care of your basic needs. Wouldn't that be, think about that. Wouldn't that be an awesome place to be? Where you ain't really rushing, like, man, how are we going to, you just got all that taken care of before you start. You know what your purpose is. You know what God has called you to do. You know what you want to do. What's there to worry about? God says, this is the life I want to create for you. Parents, I'm going to position you to create in a generation that when they come out here in this world, none of those will be their concerns. They'll be trained in giving. They'll be trained in living a life for others, putting others before themselves. They will be trained in eating properly to keep their body operating at the fullest level. They'll be trained not to be needy, not to always need some, expect to need some, but they will come out in this world solving the world's problems. Okay, what problems am I going to work to fix? I'm going to have more than enough resources to do it. And the more I do, the more I'm going to have for myself. Because money is not an issue. You're not going to be afraid of running out because you've never been without. How do you have as many failed opportunities as some people have to end up being in the leading position of the free world, fail at just about everything they put their hands in, and still be millionaires? When they fall to their lowest level, they fall to being a millionaire. People like that, they're not concerned about money. Poor folks now, they fall to a certain level. Hey, look, where I was at, I was surviving. You talking about falling lower? I don't want to go back there. Because you are concerned, because your hope is in that thing that you're looking at. Love yourself, self-love. Are you really loving yourself? Be honest. When you look at yourself, when you think about yourself, what do you say about yourself? Do the things that you say encourage you to be proud of who you are? To not need anyone to say good things about you for you to feel good about yourself? What are you teaching yourself about yourself? Are you teaching yourself about your greatness? Or are you teaching yourself about your weaknesses? Perceived weaknesses because of the world you've chosen to live in. God says in his word that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well, Psalm 139:14. Is that what you're telling yourself? Man, I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. Nothing is impossible for me. Not I'd like to do this. No, this is what I'm going to do because nothing is impossible for me. That's what love does. It encourages people. It encourages people to move beyond their shortcomings, beyond what they see. Are you training yourself in that belief? What are you telling yourself? I'm too slow. I'm stupid. I'm ugly. I'm too this. I'm too that. I'm not this. I'm not that. I didn't get this or I didn't get that. What are you telling yourself? All you have to do is listen. And you will see whether you are showing the love for yourself that you expect everybody to show for others. What if you have someone constantly telling somebody what they can't do? telling them how ugly they are. Embarrassing them every moment they get. You embarrass your own self in public. You know how you do. Man, you are awesome. Yeah, but man, I tell you, you look good. Man, but I don't feel good. All these aches and pains I got. What is that to tell yourself? How you gonna get better if that's what you have made yourself believe? Look at how we do. You are really beautiful. Yeah, but I don't like my teeth. Oh, see, I got these spots on my face. You can't see them, but, no, you look good. Lady Clairol. I wouldn't have known nothing about Lady Clairol if you hadn't said nothing. We treat ourselves so bad, and we would cringe to see people doing that to someone else. Now, you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to do them like that. Why you do them like that? How they ain't gonna never get no better. This is all, you don't never have nothing good to say. Man, I tell you, that the house is so clean. I cleaned up today. How you think? Yeah, but you didn't get that. Why you do that? Is that gonna make them excited about the next cleaning job? When they don't put all they can in it? And you can't see what they see because you want them to see what you see? Like, man, what kind of love is that? Yeah, I cleaned the house, but I didn't get to such and such. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to show love for yourself, or are you trying to show love for others? Look, I gave it my best today. That's it. I'm happy. Because I know I gave it my best. I didn't do it to line up to your standards. I did it to line up to my standards and continue to grow in my standards. And this is where my standards took me today. And I'm good with that. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Self-love is a state of appreciation for oneself that grows through actions that support your physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. Self-love is a state of appreciation for oneself that grows through actions that support your physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being. In your actions, are you supporting your physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being? Is it working toward you growing stronger in those areas? The way you eat, does it work toward you growing stronger physically, your body working at optimal level? The things that you put into your mind, are they working to help you improve your spiritual growth and development? Are they to entertain your human nature? Are you doing the things that show that you love yourself like God said you need to love yourself so that you can love others the same way? We're talking about moving back to pre-fall state of being, God's original intent for us. Remember, we were looking into Genesis. We saw when God prepared food for man. We saw that it was all plant-based, right? Now, that is the best option. It is the best. But what's the challenge? That lack of love that you have for yourself prevents you from moving to such a place. Think about it. If this is the best that you could have to take you where you want to go, and you say you love yourself, where else would there be to go? You know what the response is. You find some truth. Eat whatever you want. Just bless it. Right? I'm in line with the will of God. That doesn't mean it puts you in the original state that God wanted you to be in. It may keep you from dying. Maybe keep you from getting cancer or some disease from the food. But will it put you where you want to be as your optimum level of performing? So you got to choose. What are you really after? Because you know what we talk about when we talk about food. Food's killing us, right? Man's way to make money, he got so many chemicals in it. If it stay in your intestines 30 seconds, it might leak some kind of poison in your system to kill you. So God said, okay, we'll keep it from killing you. We'll let you flush it on out. But even you know, when you eat like that, there's some energy that you need sometimes that you just can't find. Some foods you eat natural, you eat them, you won't get hungry. To help you maintain your needed fuel so that you don't have to go to that consumption for a later moment. Are we really making decisions that prove that we love ourselves based on the love that God has shown us and where he put us and how we're supposed to perform and live in this world? God says for the husband, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her to make her holy and clean, washed by the cleansing of the word. Are you willing to give up your life for yourself? Are you willing to give up life as you know it for yourself? Are you willing to give up that's not the best for the best? That's what he's asking. The ultimate love. Jesus made this ultimate sacrifice when he came and died for us. He's saying now you'll need to love yourself just like he loved the church. He gave up himself for the church. He moved from the highest level down to this low level so he could associate with you and free you from that life so you could go up to the level of life that God created you to have. That's what love does. If you love yourself, that's what you would do. There's no question about it. You won't find reasons to stay at a lower level if you really love yourself. Don't you constantly push your children and your people to go to the highest level? Don't you make yourself believe that you're trying to move to the highest level when you know deep down you really ain't? Because there's more stuff you could do by loving yourself and trusting God's way that you don't have to put in 16 hours to get the same results. Who could believe such a thing? Because everybody cries there is not enough. Everybody on the planet gets the same amount of time, 24 hours. And all of those 24 hours are not for working. So it's no such thing as we don't have enough time. What the problem is, you don't love yourself enough to use your time wisely and trust God along the way. See, while you're using that extra 4 or 5 hours to make it happen, God could take you over into the 90% you're not using to show you how to get it done in half the time. But who could trust such a thing? Who could trust such a thing? The person that tests it, applies it, and see that it works for them. Jesus gave up life as he knew it to become what he needed to become to show his love for you. Are you willing to give up life as you know it to show your love for yourself? That's the question. We don't love ourselves. We just another tool that we allow the enemy to use to show that we belong to him and his way and not God's way. He did this to present her to himself as a glorious church without a spot or wrinkle or any other blemish. Instead, she will be holy and without fault. You give up life as you know it so you can present your body to yourself back to God without spot or wrinkle. That's why you do it. But you got to love yourself to make such a sacrifice. Who's willing to make that sacrifice? So what you're saying is, I love the world's way of doing things more than I love myself. And I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the world's way. Are you willing to sacrifice life as you know it for God's way? So don't talk about people don't like you when you don't like yourself. Don't talk about people don't care about you when you don't care about yourself. Don't talk about people don't use you because you won't use yourself. You allow the world to use you. You allow your human nature to use you. You won't allow God to use you Because God is not going to use you until you show enough love for yourself to cleanse yourself of all of those things that show that you do not love yourself. Those are the ones he's going to use. He tells us in his book. In the great house, there are many vessels. Some for honor, some for dishonor, some for this type of use or whatever. But those who choose to put aside youthful lusts, these are the ones that I'm going to use for honorable things. Those that love themselves enough to free themselves from the contamination that comes through this fallen life, which was brought in through disobedience to God. Those that are willing to separate themselves from that contaminated knowledge that has them living in ways that they know is not best for them. Those are the ones that love themselves. Those are the ones that know how to love others. And through loving others, they can now show love for me. To love me enough to move back to the original intent that I created you for from the beginning. He says, no one hates his own body, but feeds and cares for it, just as Christ cares for the church. We are told, but you, beloved, building yourselves up on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Spirit, keep yourselves in the love of God, looking forward to the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ to eternal life. Jude 1, 20 and 21. So do you love yourself? Based on how God created you to be. Does your action and behavior towards yourself show that you have unconditional love for God, or you have unconditional love for the world's way? How are you looking to be successful? How are you looking to make a mark on life? What is your standard of success? What do you think you need to generate the resources you need to live the life that God created you to live? What are you going to do with the resources once you get them? What are they for? If you answer those questions, it'll tell you where your love really is, what you really value. You treat yourself just like the world has taught you to treat yourself, like garbage. Second class, third class, fourth class citizens. You don't love yourself enough to go to the highest level in every area of your life. You settle for what the world says is okay and that you can get by with. That's not loving yourself. So when you learn how to love yourself, you don't go out looking for life, liberty, and happiness. You don't go out looking for joy. You go out to spread it because you're it. I don't go looking for life. I've learned not to go looking for life, liberty, and happiness. I come to learn that I am that. My responsibility is to spread that and to share it with others. That's my mission. I've learned that I don't have to go out into the world looking for anything. I have a loving Father that has supplied everything that I need. Therefore, I go out looking to see who I can help, who I can be a witness to, of this life, of this self-love. They had a saying when I was growing up. It's a poor dog that doesn't wag his own tail. You're a poor person who can't love themselves. But you always want someone else to show you love, show you respect, to honor you, to trust you, to believe in you. But we can't even believe in ourselves. We can't even trust ourselves, knowing that we are in a position where nothing is impossible for us, and we still don't trust ourselves. God gives us thoughts and ideas, and the world will beat us down and say, no, play safe. Play safe. Get you a good job. Get you something that you can retire with. If they don't pay you enough while you're working full time, how are they going to pay you enough when you retire? It's not going to match what you were working with that won't enough. And you could get, what, 15, 20, 50% less of that and make it? Lord, don't need help from the government. You done worked all your life. And you can't afford to pay your doctor's bills because you didn't love yourself enough to stay healthy. The world said, I help you. But now you got to go back to where you were the day you started when you came out here. You got to give it all away for us to give you a few dimes to starve to death, to help you pay bills, because we fixed it like that. At the end, it all comes back to us. That's what the world offers. But I'm here to tell you, as we get ready to close and get ready for communion, God will bring you to a place where you are prepared for the life that he's given you. You'll have all the knowledge that you need. You'll have the wisdom that you need. You'll be financially stable as you need to be. You only have to be concerned about the basics, which your field provides more than enough to take care of that, where you have more than enough to save. Starting off. That's what it offers. Doesn't matter where you start in at. That's where he'll take you. So you can teach the next generation. The story we all cry when we get started. Man, you know, some people come out here, they set, their parents got them set. God says, if these wicked parents know how to have their children set, you don't think me being a righteous guy is able to get my children set? I've discovered in life, when I was younger, getting it, grinding it, getting those things that I want, I didn't really enjoy them because I had to stay through the grind too much. Got a new car, very rarely drove it. Drove it on Sundays to go to church for a couple hours. Every now and then when I won't grind it, I might drive it somewhere. But I thought after I got it, you know what, man, why do I need it? I don't get to enjoy it, you know what I mean? Then I was thinking as time went on, like, man, maybe you just ain't making enough money to enjoy it. You have somebody working for you, then you can enjoy it. Then it hit me as I continue to live. Man, when you're young, it don't matter whether you're poor, you're struggling. Your energy keeps you in great hope, and you keep working, going to get it. Some people keep doing that and don't get it. Put your scenario. Like right now, y'all moving pretty good, right? You at your thing, you're doing it, right? And you got high hopes because you see some light, right? What happens that light don't come out like you wanted to come out? But you're still eating, you still got nice places to live, you're still enjoying a lot of things, right? That's not a bad life, is it? It's good. What happens when the world don't need you no more and you have nothing else to do and you're flat broke? You're struggling to survive. Which scenario is best for you? When would you really want to be in a position where life is good? I'm going to tell you if you don't know. When you're 67. All right? Life is straight. Finances is not a problem. Only thing you're concerned about is your basics, and you make more than enough to take care of your basics. You can't see nothing but wealth continuing to grow. Since I've tried the other one, this one works. to sit around where there is not a problem. There's nothing wrong. Never. There's never nothing wrong. I know too many people, 65 and older, can't stop. They can't. And what's so bad is that their health is so bad, continue to go, ain't no fun. See, when you're young and it gets rough, you can work a little harder, pull in a little more, you keep moving forward. But there gets a point in time where it's like, you know what? Going ain't no fun. What I'm telling you, there was a culture that was created, started from scratch. I'm the finished product of that culture. As I've told y'all along the way God does things are not the way you would do it. It's not. And if you came from a go-get-it culture, you struggle with the way he gives you stuff if you didn't go get it to get it. But it still provides the same outcome. This culture was shared with this young man, and it's shared with you. Hear what I'm saying? The objective moving forward is to get to a culture that starts off where I am right now, but better. Do you get it? You're sharing a cultural life that you weren't necessarily sharing and enjoying when I met you. Life has gotten better for you in all aspects. Self-control is more part of your life now than it used to be. Seeing the power of God work in your life is more prevalent now than it used to be, based on your true understanding of the Word of God. You're able to now to speak things into being, and you're teaching your children those things, right? So we have an experience like we had last week and other weeks in Bible study, in learning the culture, understanding how it works, being able to look at what's going on and distinguish what's of God and what's not. That's all they know. Think about it. That's all they know. That's all they know. What happens when they turn 18? When they get ready to go out? If that's all they know, and that's all they teach their children, where will their children be? See, it's a strategic application of what you believe, because you know it takes time to get that finished product. I don't have to be concerned that I didn't have the product when I started off. Are you hearing me? God showed me that he could produce the product wherever you start. You then become encouraged to be more diligent in teaching your children what you have learned, recognizing those things that they don't need to learn, teaching them the things they need to learn, so those things don't become an obstacle for them. That means they get to experience a cultural environment where none of that stuff is a part of it. And because this is all they know, that's what they're going to spread. Ain't that what they remind you sometimes? That ain't a God. Mom, Dad, you weren't in the right spirit when you said or did such and such. They're discerning. Regardless of what you're trying to tell them, they are discerning like, look, that spirit, that's not the spirit we learned when we were kids. How to use our hands, how to use our voices, why we do this. They're learning, and they are progression. They're able to reason a lot of times better than we are as adults, based on the simplicity of where they are. For the context they need to be in, that's going to keep them moving in that culture and continue to grow. It's building a culture, a community, that this is how they live. It's not to make you look down on where you are. It's to make you look at yourself in love, to see how your commitment to love God where you are, how he's blessed it to bless your seed, to improve your quality of life, to show that it's not a myth. to tell us why Jesus hung and died, to bring us to this pre-fall state where we can first learn how to love ourselves by doing what's best for ourselves so we can teach others how to love themselves and show them what it looks like. That's what self-love is. It's a generation. It takes 3 generations to get to an established culture. But each generation, it takes shorter time to get there. We are on that journey. God has proven it. But what needs to happen now? Because this generation doesn't have the tobacco field. It doesn't have all that other stuff, it doesn't have that drudgery, that life that's miserable to encourage it, to inspire it to want to do better. But that's not an excuse. We have to learn what we need to do, because it all boils down to loving yourself, to be who all God has created you to be. So we don't need a tobacco field. We need to learn what love is, self-love is, so that we can accept the gift that is in each other and encourage it, not try to destroy it. They say they want to be a rocket scientist. Don't discourage it. Encourage it. Allow God to reveal why he put that there. You don't have to be safe with God. You have to be courageous. You have to step out of the boat. You got to launch out into the deep, where a safe mind that's been built to be safe by this world system refuses to go, because of the love it has for itself and the love it has for its creator, which leads to total trust in what he said. It's going to require you to turn your back on this world. You're going to make decisions that's going to alienate you from the world. But I stand here to tell you today, what the world offers is of no comparison. I didn't get to this place grinding, going to get it. He made sure I didn't do it through doing all of that. He honored the desire to wake up one day with nothing to do but serve God. It's all in what your love for you wants you to do. Is it the things of God, or is it the things that the world says you need to do to accomplish what you want to accomplish? I want a young man to come so we can get ready for communion. But it's love for yourself, man. At the end of the day, as I look back, it's just about love for yourself. All that other stuff, it don't get you here. It's loving yourself and knowing what that looks like from God's perspective. And I just tell you up front, it's not about making your human nature feel good. It's doing everything against it because of how it's been programmed. Let's give the Lord a hand praise.